Jonah, do you think it's important to be unattractive to be funny? Can skinny people be funny?
What the f, man?
I don't know. I don't know. I've gotten, I'm sorry.
Trying to lose weight?
Well,
what's the deal, man? You look great.
No.
No, seriously. We have to talk about this. What do you want?
You were doing it, and then a man was
My
watching
father
you.
is here, by the way. Sorry, Dad.
We really want to talk about that now?
I tell you this. Why did I get married when it opens on the 12th here? I think that people will see what a great actress she is.
I don't know if there's a man alive who's not in love with you in some way.
You're so silly.
You know what am I really?
You're silly.
No, I'm not.
Major thing that's changed since you were here last?
Yes.
I have now seen you naked.
And I'm so sorry about that.
At the Time 100 Most Influential People red carpet, there was a buzz in the air that made you think, hey, maybe things are going to be different. After all, it's rare that an event will draw high-ranking diplomats, groundbreaking scientists, and Kim Ye all in one room, back when they were a thing. Get a bunch of famous people together and we're going to get something fun. Granted, it must be said that that evening in particular truly belonged to comedian Amy Schumer, who was being honored for her show Inside Amy Schumer. So Kim Kardashian and Kanye West were nearby while the funny woman was being interviewed on the red carpet. With flashbulbs going off, Kim in this beautiful lace gown with a massive skirt, and then Kanye next to her looking like he does. They were there. And then all of a sudden, Amy started walking towards them. Was she gonna say hi? No, she threw herself in front of them, pretending like she had stumbled, and then laid there, completely face down on the carpet for quite a period of time. So Kim and Kanye pretended not to notice, and then we got Laverne Cox being like, yes, Amy, yes! And I guess everybody laughed. So Kanye looked at Amy, still serious, but then after hearing the laughter, I guess Kim smiled, clearly not knowing what was going on, but recognizing that it was supposed to be funny. So after the couple at the time left the red carpet, a photographer was heard yelling from the pit, "Thank you for financing my healthcare and life insurance." And then Amy Schumer was like, "Oh, you're welcome, baby." So she later described her decision to dive in front of the couple on the Graham Norton show, saying, "I saw Kim and Kanye standing there, just owning it, being important. And I think falling is the funniest thing, so I took a dive in front of them." Okay, it's, you know, sometimes you can let those impulsive thoughts stay in your head. In the span of a week back in 2012, Sacha Baron Cohen went from being banned from attending the Oscars, dressed as his latest character at the time, the Dictator, to getting a last-minute reprieve from the Academy, to dumping what he said was a dictator's ashes on Ryan Seacrest during the live red carpet coverage of the event. Emerging from a limo flanked by two women and dressed as General Aladdin, the fictional ruler of the Republic of whatever that he invented, he marched straight up to Ryan Seacrest and declared, "Death to the West!" before accidentally dumping an urn of ashes all over a very, shocked Ryan Seacrest. So what was the explanation behind all of this? Apparently it was actually this quick, by the way, and apparently this was like, oh, this dictator's dream to come to the Oscars and be sprinkled all over the red carpet, and something very explicit that I can't say. So after he completely slithered off back to where he belonged, Ryan Seacrest took it all in stride. He's like, I had an idea something was coming, but I didn't know what was coming, and now you know why this isn't taped. Anything can happen, and it most certainly did, all over my lapel. Turns out originally the plan to spell whatever it was in that urn was supposed to happen to George Clooney, but then somebody somewhere decided, hey, maybe that's a stupid idea, because at the time, George Clooney was up for a lot of awards. So then they spun the wheel of tragedy and it landed on Ryan Seacrest. And also just, why? Gary Busey repeatedly interrupted Ryan Seacrest, wow, here we go again, while he was interviewing Laura Linney and Jennifer Garner for E! But the encounter became truly uncomfortable when Ryan asked Gary, "Do you know Jennifer Garner?" And Gary responded by abruptly kissing her neck. Ugh. Jennifer was visibly taken aback, and rightfully so, and responded to Ryan's next question with a very valid one of her own. "Aren't you gonna ask me about getting kissed on the neck on the red carpet by this man?" Yeah, I'd be grossed out and running for the hills and maybe getting physical. Jennifer Lawrence took a heck of a tumble at the 2014 Oscars, but this wasn't on the telecast. The American Hustle star, clad in a red, beautiful Dior gown, apparently stumbled over a cone as she was exiting her limo when she arrived at the Dolby Theater red carpet. She's like, yeah, they put a cone right outside of my car, and I fell in the cone, and I have a goose egg, and it really hurts. That's what she told reporters. She's like, it's okay. I've got them all over myself. Girl, same, I got weird bruises everywhere. Although she didn't technically faceplant, she definitely got pretty close to the red carpet and needed security to help her get back on her feet. She was actually quite shocked about how quickly news of the trip up traveled, but you know, when you consider social media, how many thousands of cameras are on the red carpet, and viral everything, it's... When talking to Ryan Seacrest, because he's everywhere today, she's like, yeah, this wasn't a plan. I wasn't planning on making a sequel to my fall. She's like, I don't want it to start looking like it's my thing, so I've got to be careful. And then she later on told The Times that she was hoping she wouldn't have to deal with that ever again. Even Oscar host that year, Ellen DeGeneres, got in on the joke, starting her opening monologue by saying, if you win tonight, I think we should bring you the Oscar. And then she shared a photo of her on Facebook, being like, oh look, it's a rare photo of Jennifer Lawrence standing up. Yeah, we all know about your mean jokes now, Ellen. If you want to see a red carpet reporter work hard for her money, look no further than Kat Sadler trying to rein in a very philosophical Jim Carrey. So he was in attendance at the Harper Bazaar's Icons party and said, I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and then proceeded to explain how nothing was real, not even to him. And after Kat pointed out that like, yeah, I've never seen you at this before, he's like, yeah, there's no meaning to any of this. Boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming possibility we could come up with. Do you believe in icons? Now when Kat tried to answer his statement, he interjected, I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist. But there is a wonderful fragrance in the air. Carrie even looked in the camera and gave this whole speech. I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personalities, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red S that you wear on your chest that makes things bounce off. I believe it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself, and I don't care. This wasn't exactly fresh poetry, by the way. The lines were borrowed from a commencement speech he gave in 2014 at a university. So sure, he kinda sounded like somebody on a bit of a bender, and it's not clear whether he sensed the irony in himself saying all of that while attending the party and wearing a flashy tailored suit. And when somebody did ask him about what he was wearing, he's like, oh, I didn't get dressed up. There is no me. There's just things happening. Okay, dude. Alrighty folks, fun fact about me, Zac Efron was my first celebrity crush. I had the posters on the wall, the High School Musical bedding, you name it. And then I heard about the embarrassing mishap at the Lorax premiere. Zac Efron was responsible for voicing Ted Wiggins. This boy, he's trying to impress a girl, whole thing, we find the Lorax. So at the time, I think he was like 24, and he was on the orange carpet at Universal Studios in Hollywood, because this was a movie targeted towards a young fan base, and he was greeting a fan, he was fumbling in his pockets, and then he dropped a condom. And the whole thing was captured on video, and because he was a Disney star at the time, it went viral. Look, it's not unbelievable he was carrying one. Like, that's, you know, not out of the norm for an adult. But that's what wallets are for. Like, why did nobody give him the memo? In an interview on the Today Show after the incident, he joked, I never really had a pocket checking policy prior to going on the red carpet before, but now we have one, and that was that. Look, it happened, he left it off, and now he checks his pockets with his team before being photographed by paparazzi. Much about the 2001 Oscar ceremony played out as expected. Julia Roberts completed her award sweep for Erin Brockovich, taking home the statuette for Best Actress. When Marsha Gray Harden beat out frontrunner Kate Hudson for Best Supporting Actress, it was a moment of surprise. But the biggest shock that night, 20-something years ago, and the most memorable moment of the 73rd Academy Awards, happened outside the auditorium, on the red carpet, when Bjork appeared wearing a dress that resembled a swan. It was this crystal-encrusted body stocking surrounded by a puff of white tulle with a long neck that draped around her own, the orange beak resting on her chest. Her accessories? A trail of eggs that she laid as she walked down the red carpet. She's like, yeah, I was dropping them carefully on the red carpet. But other people's bodyguards kept picking them up and saying, excuse me ma'am, you dropped this. Yeah, it was a little out of the ordinary, but now it's a fashion moment we will never forget. It was so obvious that Katy Perry was lip syncing during her performance at the NRJ Music Awards. Like, there was a very blatant 15-second delay between what she was hearing in her earpiece and what the audience was hearing in the crowd. And like in clips from that night, you can just see the embarrassment on Katy's face when the host of the show asked her to start again. And then, oh yeah, you actually have to sing. And that's not her only notable super embarrassing onstage moment. In 2008, she was performing her hit song I Kissed Kissed a Girl for the MTV Latin American Awards, and she must have thought that jumping into a gigantic pink frosted cake was like a great idea. But then it was time for her to get out of the cake, and she kind of was being held hostage. She fell flat on her face when she finally wrestled free of the cake, and then another 7 times before she was carried off stage, the cake tripping her on her way out. And even though it was like super embarrassing, she managed to keep a smile on her face, so like points to her, but like, girl, choices. Hugh Jackman once admitted in an interview that he had a bit of a leak in front of a crowd while he was on stage playing Gaston in a 1996 Australian production of Beauty and the Beast. So the actor revealed that after enduring headaches for 2 months, he asked an expert what to do, and they said drink more water. So on the day of performing, he consumed so much water that by the time he was set to deliver his first number, he had to go. He explained, literally, I'm picking up Belle, and as I pick her up, I stopped singing, and right in that moment, I realized the muscles you need to release in order to sing are the ones you don't want to release if you, need to go. Back in 2013, Selena Gomez was performing at the Kiss FM Jingle Ball and was dealing with some major sound issues. Now, she might have been lip syncing because apparently what was heard in the crowd was her backup track, and like honestly whatever, lip syncing happens, but after one of her songs, the lights went down, the crowd went nuts, and then she yelled, "What the F?" into the microphone, because she didn't realize it was still on. So then everybody in the crowd was murmuring, like really nervously, and when the lights came back up, she was like, "Oh, so sorry guys, sound issues, I'm gonna play 2 more songs." Well, she only played 1 more song and then had to leave the stage. Poor thing. The 2012 Emmy Awards caused quite a ruckus for the beautiful Sofia Vergara. Seems like her designer dress was a little too tight and her derriere for freedom and came out victorious. 20 minutes before Modern Family won the Outstanding Comedy Award for the 3rd year in a row, this wardrobe malfunction sent Sofia Vergara flying backstage to fix the problem with the help of her wardrobe team. Thankfully, this embarrassing moment did not faze her one bit. She even tweeted out the photo of her rear end for the entire world to see. You go, girl. Jennifer Lawrence is an incredible actress, super down to earth, super relatable. She's super talented, she's quick on her feet, but sometimes she's a little too quick on her feet. And we all saw this back in 2013 when she won Best Actress and tripped up the stairs while on her way to accept the award. Look, I've been there, I've worn the big skirts, I've fallen and done my fair share, but I don't think anybody has ever fallen quite as much as she has in terms of red carpet events, but she's doing great. Maybe just like get some help when you're wearing the big ball gowns. Been there. Beyonce is more than a person. She is the embodiment of beauty, talent, and success. She's lived most of her life on stage performing like she was born to do, and throughout her entire career she's remained classy in any outfit, no matter how revealing or outrageous, and has continued to be just incredible. It cannot be argued. Queen Bee all the way. But hey, even queens have their moments, and it's their choice on whether to dwell on them or pick themselves up. And I think we can all agree that when Queen Bee falls down, she bounces back up in a heartbeat, which she has proven to us over and over again. I think all in all she's fallen like 9 or 10 times, but her biggest stumble was during the Beyonce Experience tour, where she fell down 12 steps. Thankfully she didn't get hurt, but like, whew, poor thing. Ouchie. Kelly Clarkson found herself in a bad position after some food didn't agree with her stomach during a performance. She almost ended up pooping her pants on stage, and when she had the opportunity to run off during a quick change, she apparently destroyed a trash can. She said, like, I got some kind of wrecked up from some kind of food. We were in an arena, and I shouldn't tell this story, but like I said, I don't have a filter. She had to run backstage to do her quick change. She grabbed this poor trash can, and boy, she destroyed it. It was bad. She's like, it was bad. I'm just saying, it happens. What are you supposed to do? Hey, you do you. Things happen. Joe Jonas once had an accident on stage in the middle of a performance with his brother. Looking back on the 2019 incident, Joe says that when he realized he had also done a number 2, he quickly ran off to make a quick wardrobe change. And while he thought a lot of people would notice, turns out nobody really knew what was happening. He said, let's just say it was a bad day to choose to wear white clothing. You might think it might be a little toot, might have been a little something else, it was a little something extra. He said it was a light one, wasn't a full, so I was able to tell the tale. Thank you so much for that detail, Joe. That's what I needed today. He definitely continued the whole time. I thought this was definitely, somebody is going to be able to see this and know what is happening, but it was all in my head. Wasn't as big of a deal as I thought. But such is life. It's happened to many artists. I feel like I've paid my dues. I'm part of some secret club now. Yeah, okay, pal. In 2004, Ashley Simpson performed her hit single Pieces of Me on Saturday Night Live, and it went fine. But then when she came back to perform her next tune, Autobiography, things went south. The vocals for Pieces of Me began playing while her mic was down at her side. She tried to recover, for some reason, with a spontaneous hoedown before fleeing the stage. We've all seen the clip. At the end of the episode, a visibly mortified Simpson said, I feel so bad. My band started playing the wrong song, didn't know what to do, thought I'd do a hoedown. Later on 60 Minutes, she blamed her acid reflux for her reliance on a backing vocal track, and she she's attempted comebacks, but no public was having it. Her record sales never recovered. We haven't really heard from her ever again. The house is packed, the ovation is standing, but the reviews are scathing. Why is it that there was such a visceral reaction to Cameron Dallas's run in the Broadway adaptation of Mean Girls as romantic lead Aaron Samuels? Was the runway model turned Broadway star too harshly treated by the critics online? Or was this a really damning moment of the dreaded stunt casting that's plagued a lot of Broadway productions for years? When the original Aaron, the beloved by fans Kyle Selig, opted to take a leave of absence from the show, it was announced that Mean Girls would introduce Cameron Dallas to take over the mantle for just like 4 weeks. And the decision proved unpopular with hardcore fans of the New York theater community, but also saw a huge response from fans of the heartthrob. Look, at the time, he was like the most famous member of the cast. He had more followers on Insta and Twitter than the entire ensemble put together multiple times over. His announcement on Instagram garnered almost as many likes as the official Mean Girls on Broadway account had followers altogether. We're talking like over 200,000. So there was no doubting, objectively, the considerable difference in ability at almost every quantifiable level between the social media celeb and the man he was covering for. Kyle's vocal range was leagues above Cameron Dallas's. Ditto to the acting credits. After all, there's a decade of experience in musical theater, stage time, and possibly most egregiously for theater purists, dues paid between the pair. Like when Kyle won the National High School Music Award and was subsequently granted a $10,000 scholarship for musical theater, Vine, you know, the app where Cameron Dallas would launch his career, was still 2 years away from launching. One Reddit poster claimed that after watching the show on what was Cameron's opening night, that he sounded like he was reading his lines from a teleprompter. I remember when this hit the internet, I heard a boot. It was rough. John Cena made sure he didn't show too much on the 2024 Oscars stage. The actor appeared to be fully in the nude as he presented the award for Best Costume Design. He certainly wasn't wearing much, but he had some precautions in place to avoid any dramatic wardrobe malfunction. Now, behind the scenes photos do show Cena standing in an Oscars hallway wearing a modesty pouch to cover up the most personal parts. It's basically a pair of underwear, pocketed to, you know, the front and the back. So while it looked like the pro wrestler could flash to the audience at any moment, the Oscars team made sure that wasn't gonna happen. It was all an homage to one dramatic Oscars moment past. You know, the 46th Academy Awards, 1974. David Niven was in the middle of introducing Elizabeth Taylor when a streaker ran across the stage, and host Jimmy Kimmel was like, hey, can you imagine if a nude man ran across the stage today? And Cena fit the bill. But he wasn't going to become the next Hollywood streaker. They were joking that, like, he was supposed to, and then he got cold feet. And if you found yourself wondering if this was a music performance or a episode of WWE Raw, don't worry, you're not alone. While performing at the 2013 Billboard Music Awards, R&B star Miguel decided to take things up a notch. He leapt from the stage across the teeming crowd, but fell short, directly landing on a fan's head while hitting another with his leg. To add to the awkwardness, he proceeded to hug the wrong person and continued with his performance. He later appeared in a backstage interview with one of the injured fans in an apparent attempt at damage control. However, he was eventually sued by another lady who claimed to have also been hurt by his humiliating job.
Recently, a journalist has stepped forward to talk about how uncomfortable they were interviewing Blake Lively in 2016. Norwegian interviewer Christy Flaw, who goes by Kirsty, has uploaded her 2016 interview with Blake that was so uncomfortable it made her want to quit her journalism career. Kirsty posted a video simply called "The Blake Lively Interview That Made Me Want to Quit My Job" to her popular YouTube channel earlier this week, and viewers have been left horrified by the 4-minute long footage. In the clip, Blake is promoting the movie Cafe Society and is joined by her co-star Parker Posey. Now, this movie came out in July 2016, and the interview would have taken place around the same time. Now, Blake had actually announced her pregnancy at the Met Gala that May, but appears to take offense when Kirsty starts the interview by congratulating her on her little bump. "Congrats on your little bump," Blake mockingly says back to Kirsty, who visibly isn't pregnant. And also, one of the worst things we've now found out is that Kirsty is actually infertile, so this comment hurt her even more. Appearing to purposely exclude Kirsty from the conversation, Blake and Parker seem to almost ignore her, and Blake seemingly actively avoids to make eye contact with the reporter, and even when she does look away from Parker, she's looking off camera rather than at Kirsty. Once Kirsty's interview time is up, both Blake and Parker appear to roll their eyes and pull a face as she leaves. Now, it was extremely rude and horrible, and people in the comments called them out. Now, in 2013, Jesse Eisenberg did an interview with Romina Pugga promoting his new film, Now You See Me. The interview started out rough, but it seemed like Jesse and Romina were both being sarcastic and dry to each other on purpose. Now this included Jessie insulting her, saying he wouldn't want to find her in a crowd, and that she was the carrot top of interviewers. It seemed like the two were in on it, but afterwards Romania made a blog post saying, "So I was just humiliated by Jesse Eisenberg. When the 5-minute interview, more like self-esteem butchering, were finally over, I went behind a curtain to wait for the memory cards from the interview. I peeked around the curtain to ask Jesse about his neighborhood in New York. He lived a few blocks from where I used to live, and he immediately says, 'You're still here.'" Now Jesse was widely slammed on social media for the interview, in which he came across as arrogant and was seen mocking the journalist's questions. Talking to NME, Jesse said he had different memories of the interview, as he found it to be quite fun. "I remember she was laughing. Even after she left, I said to the people in the room, 'What a relief.' Like, that was the most funny, interesting interview I'd had all day. She said I had made her upset. It was like the exact opposite of what my experience was, and I didn't know the appropriate way to handle something that's completely mischaracterized," he added. Now people said there are people who found the interview quite funny, saying, "Listen, I would never want to upset someone, and if I did upset her, obviously I would have acknowledged that," he added. While walking the red carpet at the 2023 Oscars, Hugh Grant was quickly called out online after an interview with Ashley Graham on ABC's Academy Awards pre-show. When asked by the model what his favorite part of the awards ceremony was, he responded, "It's fascinated, the whole humanity is here, it's Vanity Fair." Now things only got more awkward as Hugh began unenthusiastically responding with short answers, such as saying he wasn't rooting for any nominees in particular, and stating that he couldn't remember the name of the tailor who worked on his suit. Now the interview concluded with Ashley asking him about appearing in one of the night's nominated films, Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery, in which he made a cameo as the partner of Daniel Craig's detective character. "Well, I'm barely in it," he stated. "I'm in it for about 3 seconds." Now on top of that, when asked if he had fun shooting the Knives Out sequel, he simply responded with, "Almost." Now Twitter went crazy calling out his behavior, as it was just a plain awkward exchange. Now reflecting on the situation a few months later, Ashley told the Sunday Times, "I could tell he didn't want to be there, that was obvious. Before we were chatting, he was very pleasant, then we started rolling and he was like, 'I don't want to be here,' and I was like, 'Okay, work with me, I get it, but like, work with me.' I was trying my hardest to be my nice upbeat self and he gave me what he had," she said. In 2016, Vin Diesel derailed his interview with YouTuber Carol Maria by trying to flirt with her and insisting that she was too beautiful and sexy for him to continue, making her visibly uncomfortable. Now in the video's intro, Carol addressed the situation, saying, "He began to hit on me in the middle of the interview, saying that I was pretty, and he interrupted the interview 3 times to talk about it. I was laughing, completely uncomfortable. I was not sure what to do," she said. "I just laughed because it was a very delicate situation. I did not like it. At the time, I did not know how to react, but you will see that I was uncomfortable. It was not nice that he interrupted my work." Now in the video, Vin Diesel is seen saying, "Tell me your story, let's get out of here, let's go have lunch. My god, I love her." Now Carol attempted to get things back on track, only for Diesel to derail the interview once again over their shared love of the game Dungeons & Dragons. "Guys, really, look how beautiful she is," he said. "You guys think this is a joke? How am I supposed to sit here while I'm looking at such beauty? She's so beautiful. I'm in love with the interviewer." Yeah, that's definitely not the way to talk to an interviewer. I mean, she was just trying to do her job. Plus, he was married and had children at the time of this interview. It's just gross. Reporter Ali Fedotowsky was asked by her co-host Roxy Manning whether she had bad experiences interviewing celebrities on the red carpet. Ali then said, "Sorry Jake Gyllenhaal, I'm going to Taylor Swift you right now." She then proceeded to say that Jake showed up for the red carpet. "My first red carpet for E! News, he walks up, I'm shaking in my heels. I say to him, 'Hi Jake, who do you bring tonight?' Like for a date, like who's your date tonight?" He goes, "Bye bye," and walked away from me. Ali then shared that she started crying, fearing that she was going to lose her job after failing to get answers from the actor. However, she then witnessed Jake give another interviewer the same treatment. There was an interviewer next to me and her question to him was, so if you don't get an Oscar for this film, those tattoos should, because he was all tatted up for his film, and he goes bye and walks away because he is a serious actor, Ali recalled. Now Ali worked for the entertainment news company from 2013 to 2015, and she called the position her least favorite job she ever had. She added, it was just not for me, it really ate away at my self-confidence, and she also noted that she doesn't have patience for stars who are rude to interviewers. I've walked so many red carpets because of The Bachelorette and done countless interviews, and I know how easy it is to be nice, she said. But hey, at least he wasn't just rude to her, but still, that's a rude thing to do, Jake. Now Joaquin Phoenix's film Joker did amazing, as it was praised by pretty much everyone, but it appears that he got tired of talking about it. Now Joaquin took home the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Drama for Joker, but do not ask him about it. Now after his win, Phoenix claimed that he was tricked into entering the press room, and he was annoyed at journalists for asking him questions. When asked about his process for transforming into the Joker, Phoenix snapped, "Isn't this old news? I think I've talked about this for 6 months. I mean, right? I feel like I've answered these questions. You want to hear a different version of it? I can try to change it slightly, or what should I do? It was a long process, and there's so many things I just can't remember right now, but I feel like I already answered this question 6 months ago, but thanks for still asking." Then when asked about a potential Joker sequel, he got similarly annoyed, saying, "What do you mean about the possibility of a sequel? Why? I don't care who's saying that, that's awesome and I love whoever says it. I don't think that I've ever done too many predictable things, so if that came up, it's not because we're following some rulebook, it's because we feel inspired again to explore the character more thoroughly. That would be the only reason for me to do it, so that's all I can say about that." Now we all know that they did make a sequel, but him responding to these questions like that was just awkward. And in 2017, Selena Gomez was announced to receive the Billboard Music Award for Woman of the Year. Now she received it after she told the world about her kidney transplant, and this was a huge award for her and it should have been made all about her, but on the red carpet she was asked about her ex, Justin Bieber. Now Selena has always been linked to Justin from the moment she started dating him. This understandably has been very annoying, and Selena is tired of questions about Justin. Now during her interview she was asked how Justin had most influenced her to be the person she was today. Now Selena wasn't having this though, as the day was about her, so she responded by saying, "I don't think anyone truly actually cares." Now some people may think this response was rude, but others thought the question itself was rude. Now she'd been asked the same question about Justin over and over again, and the night was about her, but good for Selena for only discussing what she wanted to.
Number 10. Will Smith. Now, if it was just the whole Oscars thing that tainted his image, I would leave him alone and just ignore the situation. But this man is humiliated on almost a daily basis now, thanks to his wife, partner thingy, Jada Pinkett Smith. This woman shares something new about her relationship every other day of the week. She dominated the front page media for a solid 4 or 5 months out of this year alone. I'll be honest, it went by very fast, so I just don't remember much. What I do remember is the photos of Will Smith just looking defeated, and he's usually sharing the same space as Jada. Jada literally looks like a Disney villain every time a camera is pointed at her face, like she knows where the king's missing daughter is, but she's not gonna tell anyone until she gets that crown. Before releasing a tell-all book revealing even more dirty secrets, she just took the hamper out and dumped it on the dining room table. I swear, every time this woman watches Will Smith wipe his nose, she has to do a breakfast television appearance the next day. This man may have slapped Chris Rock on live TV, sure, but that is nothing compared to the absolute mental damage that woman does to him constantly. I have never seen a woman share more about her marriage despite the absolute trash that marriage contains. She told the world that Tupac proposed to her from prison. She said she's been separated from Will for 7 years. She talks about how many times she's done it with Will Smith and just so much more. That poor man. Number 9, Kendall Jenner. Members of the Kardashian family will make a few appearances on this list. Kendall has been called out for using Photoshop in one of her photos online a few times, but there was just the most obvious Photoshop fail of all time after she posted a photo of herself in a bikini where she appears to be turning into a werewolf. Her fingers on her right hand are melting down into a straight line, making it look like she's morphing before our very eyes. Her sister Kim called her out on social media for the flub, and so did the rest of the internet, but there are plenty of examples of Kardashians being caught in a lie or indulging in a moment. But the best part of this entire thing was that she doubled down by posting a photo of her normal hands slumped down so that people could see the difference. On top of that flub, she was also humiliated further when a clip from that show, The Kardashians, showed Kendall attempting to chop some cucumbers, and she clearly doesn't know how to do it. Like, someone's been making her cucumbers since she was 3. Number 8, Zac Efron. Zac rose to fame as a Disney darling, playing the lead role of Troy Bolton in High School Musical. Since his Disney days, Zac has lent his voice and face to several projects, but the red carpet event that kinda tainted his image for the animated Dr. Seuss movie The Lorax. Zac, who voiced the main character of the movie, was walking the red carpet when he suddenly handed his assistant something from his pocket. As he handed them the product, something fell out of his pocket and onto the ground. And that something is a word that I'm not allowed to say online, so let's call them love tubes. Zac's love tube wrapper was flat on the red carpet right there for the world to see. He quickly picked it up, but the damage had already been done. In the first interview following the incident, the interviewer asked Zac if anything unplanned had happened during his walk. He then explained that it was a complete accident, there was no pre-show pocket check that could have prevented it. Well, Illumination didn't like that excuse, and they didn't seem to like their main star being associated with such adult projects. So when that Lorax sequel came out, they were planning to replace Zac with another actor. But I guess whoever they picked wasn't famous enough because that project got canned, and Zac found work in Baywatch. Good for you, buddy. Number 7, Chris Evans. As many of us know, double checking your work is important, especially when the destination is the public. Now, this was a lesson that Chris Evans, aka Captain America himself, had to learn the hard way. A little while back, Chris posted a screen video to his Instagram, but forgot to actually crop the video out. So as it finished, fans were greeted to a brief glimpse of Chris's Long John Silver. The video was quickly taken down by all accounts. This seems like something that he did not want to post online. He was quiet for a bit, but even his Marvel co-star started throwing him a roaster too. Mark Ruffalo tweeted that since Donald Trump was in office at the time, that there was nothing that Chris could do to embarrass himself. Chris only acknowledged the incident in a brief post a few weeks later, telling people that now that he had their attention, they should go vote on November 3rd. That's one way to get the word of mouth going, Hey, Chris Evans just showed me his dingling. Vote Biden! Of all the humiliating moments on this list, this should have been one of the bigger ones, but Chris received little to no flack for the accident. Even Marvel didn't care, and they care about everything. Number 6, Elon Musk. Elon is one of the most important men in the world, being the CEO of not only Tesla, but Twitter, aka X. A few years ago, Elon revealed a new design for an electric truck that looked sleek and metallic called the Cybertruck. The demonstration took place in front of a massive crowd where Elon revealed the truck, and he confidently told them that his truck was incredibly strong, nearly impossible to break the windows or damage the structural integrity in any way, shape, or form. So a massive metal ball was tossed at its windows, and guess what? It broke. Kinda. The ball kinda stayed there for a second before revealing a massive hole, but as Elon said, it didn't go through the windows, so that's a bonus. The audience found this amusing, and Elon laughed the whole thing off, but following the event, he discovered the incident was to blame on the order in which it was tested. During the tests before the presentation, a sledgehammer was swung at its doors and seemed to hold up pretty well. However, the hammer hit the truck in a sweet spot because a small little crack formed in the corner of the window. When the demo took place, the force made the crack massive and it just broke. It's nice to know what happened, but it doesn't change the fact that his near indestructible truck couldn't even handle a sledgehammer swing. Like, come on, bro, it's lame. Number 5, Kendall Jenner. Again! Sponsored brand deals can mean a lot of money for the people involved. Just look at every cologne on the planet. They hire someone to stand on a beach for 30 seconds and they make $1 million. Around 2017, Kendall decided to partner with the soda brand Pepsi to create a commercial that would act as both an ad and a PSA against hatred. The commercial consisted of hundreds of people from different parts of the world drinking Pepsi, and eventually everyone comes together on the streets of what appears to be New York. Kendall looks to the crowd, wipes off her makeup, and follows suit. The cringy moment comes when the crowd of people appear to be at a standoff with the police, and Kendall walks through them and just hands an officer a can of Pepsi. He sips it, crowd cheers, they swarm the cops who are suddenly cool with everything that's going on. Life's great. This ad was meant to be a political statement following the passing of several African-American men and women in the United States, aiming to bring people together, which it did, but for the wrong reasons. The world collectively just cringed at this absolute mess, forcing Kendall to drop an an apology video on that season's premiere of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. She may have apologized, but we will never forget the weirdest commercial of all time. Number 4, Milli Vanilli. In 1989, the duo of Fab Morvan and Rob Pilatus were on the top of the world. A fairly unknown crew had quickly rise to number 2 on the Billboard 100 list. They began performing their hit song in front of thousands of fans across the world, and people were hooked until very shortly into their rise to fame, they were performing in front of 80,000 people at a theme park in Bristol, Connecticut. They took the stage with their well-known dance moves and started singing, but when the chorus came in, it stayed. It repeated over and over again on a busted loop. The track that they had been lip-syncing to was trash, and the truth had been revealed. Not only did they not sing a single note of their hit song, Girl You Know It's True, but the song itself was actually stolen from another group a few years prior. Milli Vanilli were a disgrace, and what was worse is that only a few days before they were exposed to the world, they had won an award for the tune and they had to give it back. Ow! Number 3, Ellen DeGeneres. When Dakota Johnson was a guest on the Ellen DeGeneres show in 2019, she took a very subtle and pulled back approach to addressing an issue with the host. Ellen asked Johnson when her birthday was and then claimed that she had never received an invitation for the party. The 50 Shades star quickly smiled, revealed that she actually had in fact extended that invitation, but apparently Ellen did not reply. Ellen was baffled and asked Dakota if she was sure. There was no possible way, right? And Dakota said, ask literally anyone here, specifically your producer Jonathan. Following the comment, Ellen is just searching the room for Jonathan with an angry expression on her face, which is understandable because she got outed as a liar on her own show. Unfortunately for Ellen, that wouldn't be the last time, as a couple months later, a lot of stories and tweets and rumors started circulating about Ellen mistreating her staff, and eventually the show got canceled. So looks like Dakota delivered 50 Shades of oops. That sucks. Number 2, Justin Bieber. In 2015, Justin was performing on the Today Show, debuting his new song, What Do You Mean? During his performance, he got super excited and started dancing and singing his track, you know, as one does. But moments later, he got caught on air dissing the camera operator, saying that he might as well not dance since they don't even move an inch. He said next time he won't dance because it's just a waste of effort, and he was visibly annoyed as he ended his time on the show. Fans from Justin were quick to question his aggression in the moment. Before being cut off by the commercial break, Justin started to rant about what he even does this for, and if they're just gonna ignore him and cut him off, then what's the point? Not long after this on-air mishap, Justin announced that he was taking a break from music. The two seemed to be unrelated, but you never know. Embarrassment's a pretty big deal. Maybe he had some real regrets when it comes to scolding the cameraman that did nothing to you before that, and out of all the mistreatment scandals surrounding Justin Bieber, this one is honestly just the silliest and pretty embarrassing. When Justin appeared on the set of CSI, he actually upset an entire crew with his behavior, according to several people who were on that show. Justin put his fist through a cake that was on the craft service table. He dismissed the claims as baseless, but a lot of people saw him do that, so just go into your room and be quiet, Justin. Just be quiet. Number 1, Tom Cruise. Matt Lauer is not just a terrible man who turned out to be a creepy creepo creepy. He was once a popular talk show host in the early 2000s. During an interview with Tom Cruise in 2005, the topic of scientific beliefs came up that quickly sent Tom into a rant about psychiatry. Somehow the topic got into Ritalian and pseudosciences. I don't know, Tom yelled at Matt about knowing more stuff about him, like he had some inside information that he was secretly a therapist. If someone gave Tom Cruise a therapy license, quit your job. The interview came at the height of Tom's very public descent into chaotic badness, becoming very famous for his outlandish beliefs and his wish to push them onto other people. The highlight of this interview though comes when Cruise was asked about his previous criticism of Brooke Shields, who took anti-sad time pills, to which he responded by calling her a glib. I looked up the definition. That means fluent and voluble, but insecure and shallow. That's not insulting. This was only one of several interviews from 2005 that I could discuss today. We could talk about Katie Holmes on Oprah. We could talk about him on a breakfast morning. We could talk about him waking up in the morning and brushing his teeth. This guy is terrible.
Coming in at number 10, Ashley Simpson. This one certainly takes the cake when we're talking about uncomfortable live TV appearances. How could we forget the time Ashley Simpson performed on Saturday Night Live and was caught lip-syncing? In 2004, when booked to perform 2 songs on the show, Simpson ran through a rendition of her single Pieces of Me without a hitch. However, when the pop star returned to the stage to run through the title track of her debut album, Autobiography, things took a turn for the worst. While the band began to play the song, the vocals for the first track began to play and Simpson paused in horror. The lip-syncing plot had totally collapsed. announced. Clearly panicking, she looked around at the band with the microphone held by her side, with the vocals still beating out unnervingly loud. After pulling off a series of improvised awkward dance moves, she walks off the stage and producers cut the performance and head to a commercial. It was a hugely embarrassing moment that only got worse when she returned to the stage and tried to blame it on her band. To this day, it stands as one of the biggest live TV fails ever. Number 9, Cara Delevingne. In the middle of a promotional tour for her new film, Paper Towns, Cara Delevingne appeared on Good Day Sacramento and went on to have one of the most awkward interviews ever. First off, the anchors called her Carla instead of Cara. Then they proceeded to ask her whether or not she had read the John Green book on which the film is based, and why she didn't seem more excited to be on the show despite making millions from the movie. But Cara was clearly not having it and pretty much refused to respond to their questions. Instead, she took a bit more of a sarcastic approach, but the anchors pushed back and almost seemed to be mocking her the whole time. Quote, "You do seem a bit irritated, maybe it was just us." But when Cara agreed with her, the host said, "We'll let you take a little nap and maybe get a Red Bull," essentially kicking her off the show. Despite being tired after the final premiere for the film the night before, Cara soldiered on at first, but the show was clearly trying to embarrass her because she wasn't going to play ball with their patronizing questions. Number 8, Justin Bieber. On the first night of his world tour, Justin Bieber didn't throw up once, but he threw up twice. After vomiting all over the center stage, the teen star blamed his stomach issues on drinking too much milk before the concert. But unfortunately, the puke fest was all captured on camera. The concert in Glendale, Arizona started out okay and everything seemed to be going well and fine until he started performing Out of Town Girl, which meant he had to get very physical, running upstairs and getting really groovy with the backup dancers. But the movements proved a little bit too much for Bieber, as suddenly he turned his back to the crowd, bent over and straight up barfed. He then rushed backstage as a panic and embarrassment set in. A few minutes later, he returned and tried to slow the songs down because he was still feeling a little bit queasy, but clearly his stomach was still not having it and he ran off stage again. He told the crowd, quote, "It's hard for me, you know, not feeling great and throwing up in front of a bunch of people. Will you love me even though I'm throwing up on stage?" And his die-hard teenage fans cheered in approval. A few days later, the singer finally tweeted a reason for his retching and just wrote that milk before a concert was a bad choice. Number 7, Janet Jackson. The infamous wardrobe malfunction that shook the entertainment world happened on stage during the 2004 Super Bowl halftime show to none other than Janet Jackson. No one could forget when Janet and Justin Timberlake performed Rock Your Body, and as Timberlake reached the final note, he pulled off a piece of Jackson's costume, which was essentially her bra cup, and flashed an estimated 143 million viewers. According to Janet's publicist, the moment was only meant to reveal her red bra underneath, but a wardrobe malfunction resulted in the entire thing coming off. Viewers were shocked. Janet's career spiraled and immediate scandal ensued. Since then, the incident has inspired numerous performances, songs, and TV episodes. In fact, last year, FX and Hulu released a documentary called Malfunction, the dressing down of Janet Jackson, which aimed to explore the racial and cultural currents that collided on the Super Bowl stage. Interestingly enough, the stylist who was behind Janet's Super Bowl look, Wayne Scott Lucas, told Page Six that Justin was behind it all because he wanted to upstage Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and Madonna, who kissed at the 2003 MTV Music Video Awards just a few months earlier. Number 6, Kendall Jenner. The Keeping Up with the Kardashians star obviously had Harry Styles on her mind when she accidentally introduced the band 5 Seconds of Summer as One Direction during the 2014 Billboard Music Awards. Kendall got off to a good start, beginning her introduction with, "The band about to rock the Billboard Awards comes from down under, but the direction they're heading is straight up." Recently, they made their debut at 2 on the Billboard 200. She continued with, "Now we welcome One," and it seemed like she was ready to say direction when she completely realized her mistake and laughed uncomfortably. She apologized, saying, "Guys, I'm the worst reader." Luckily for her, a brief recorded intro segment took Kendall out of her embarrassment for a second before the spotlight came back to her. This time she finally got the name right, yelling 5 seconds of summer as the boys jumped into their song. The whole incident was pretty bad, but I wouldn't call it the most humiliating thing that's ever happened on live TV. Of the awkward scale, it was probably a 6 at most. Number 5, Madonna. Fans have named Madonna's epic fall on stage at the Brit Awards as the most embarrassing moment in the show's history. The cape incident during the 2015 Brit Awards is something that will never be forgotten. What happened exactly? Well, Madonna was closing out the show as she was performing her new single at the time called Living for Love. As a part of her routine, she stood on the top of a platform on stage and attempted to untie the floor-length cape that she was wearing. Her backup dancers tried to remove the garment, but they pulled it back so strongly that instead it dragged her backwards down 3 steps and she went tumbling. Madonna was forced to stop singing as the panicked dancers helped her stand up, but after a few seconds of recovery, she went on to complete her performance. The 63-year-old issued a statement later saying that she was fine and that her cape had been tied too tight. To make matters worse, an average of 5.3 million people tuned into the ceremony on ITV. So the instant that Madonna hit the deck, you know that was the only aspect of the Brit Awards that people were going to be talking about the next day. Number 4, John Travolta. He was introducing Idina Menzel to sing Let It Go from Frozen, and he completely butchered her name in front of thousands of viewers. On the night, Travolta introduced her by saying he'd perform the Oscar-nominated, gorgeously empowering song Let It Go from the Oscar-winning animated movie Frozen. Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem. It was extremely funny to say the least. And when asked about the mishap, Travolta said, "I've been beating myself up all day." Then I thought, what would Idina Menzel say? She'd say, "Let it go." Of course, it was embarrassing, but his situation is pretty relatable to me considering that I mess up celebrity names all the time. The moment has been discussed and referenced a lot since then, but Menzel recently revealed exactly what was going through her head when Travolta butchered her name. In an interview with James Corden, doing carpool karaoke, she said, "I had 8 seconds after he screwed up my name. First, I really felt sorry for myself. Like Meryl Streep's out there, it's my big break and he just effed up my name." But according to Menzel, when the band started, she didn't have time to think about it and just went right on with the show. Number 3, 50 Cent. Over the past few years, we've seen some absolutely terrible attempts involving celebrities throwing out first pitches. For instance, Carly Rae Jepsen's infamously terrible pitch was pretty great to watch. But not for 1 second does anyone doubt that 50 Cent's pitch tops the list because of that one fateful Mets game in 2014. Despite winding up in a normal motion and finishing with his foot forward, he threw the ball at least 20 feet to the left of the home plate. In fact, when his hand released the ball, it went so far off target that it almost hit the camera crew. The rapper managed to embarrass himself in front of the whole Mets stadium and its fans as well as on live TV. The whole thing gets worse when you consider how hyped up he was to pitch in the first place, because he had been dreaming of that moment for a very long time, and it would have sucked to mess up in front of his idols and their fans. Number 2, Mariah Carey. Everyone remembers the painful moment when the 53-year-old singer fumbled her way through 3 cringe-inducing performances on New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest in 2016. Mariah was the last pre-midnight guest on ABC's special, which was plagued with sound problems, and for her very first number, it became clear that she could not hear the backup vocals heard on her live broadcast, causing her to get flustered. Not only that, but the issue didn't get much better as the singer moved into her second song, Emotions. From that point on, she barely sang, but instead talked to the audience, saying, "We didn't have a sound check for this song, so we'll just say it went to number 1 and that's what it is, okay? Well, Happy New Year! We can't hear, but it'll just get through the moment." Although Mariah was visibly frustrated, she gets points for hanging in there and not abandoning the stage altogether. The incident went viral online and was extremely humiliating for the singer, despite the fact that the technical issues were not actually her fault. But Twitter, of course, was pretty unforgiving and exploded with memes in full force as the disaster unfolded. And coming in at number 1, Steve Harvey. While he has proven to be a reliable pageant host for the past 3 years, it's nearly impossible to forget his giant fail in front of millions back in 2015, which will likely go down in history as Steve Harvey's most embarrassing moment. So what happened exactly? Well, he wrongly announced that Miss Colombia had won the competition, when in fact it was Miss Philippines. After he announced Colombia as the winner, he left the stage and Adriana Gutierrez was crowned. But the cheering had already begun when Steve awkwardly had to walk back on stage and revoke his declaration. Quote, "I have to apologize. The first runner-up is Colombia, Miss Philippines. Take your walk as Miss Universe." The blunder immediately took the world by surprise, prompting a flurry of reactions. Some were sympathetic towards Miss Colombia, while others were downright angry. In fact, the Miami Herald reported at the time that a Colombian law firm threatened to file a lawsuit, claiming that the crown is an acquired right and cannot be taken away from us. In early 2016, Steve finally took the time to clarify how the disaster happened, and it's pretty simple. Apparently, the name on the teleprompter was a different name to the one that was on the card.